Okay, welcome everyone to another Wednesday night, the fundamentals to gain inner peace. And before we start, let's get grounded, becoming aware of where we are, where we're coming from. How was your day? And you can share in the chat and let me know if you're in a up mood or a down mood. So you can put in positive, negative. Let me know where you are. And I always know there are many that are on both sides, which is fine and okay, wherever you are. Take a deep breath. Beautiful. So last 2 weeks ago, we discussed to become comfortable with the uncomfortable, to be able to feel the uncomfortable feeling. And like what we discuss here, for those who are on the journey with us, and if it's your first time, you can get the recordings at menachembernfeld.com on the top left, which we have almost all the recordings over there. But basically what we're trying to do is slow down, to be able to slow down our thinking, slow down how becoming aware of how we feel, where we are, so that we can slowly shift our perspective to be able to see the full picture and obviously to feel some positive. But before we go to the positive, we can't forget about the negatives because they go together. To experience, which we all want to experience life. We want to feel, we want to be there. To experience, we need to experience whatever it is, whether it's something we do like or something we don't like. And yes, eventually we'll learn how to shift and become more familiar with positive and have more positive in our life. But for those starting on this journey, you first have to learn that it's okay to feel. That's number one. And it's okay to feel negative. And how to feel that negative. How does it work? I don't want to feel it. I don't like it. But that's part of experiencing. So 2 reasons why you have to become comfortable feeling the uncomfortable. First one, like we discussed, just to become used to some emotions. Get into the world of emotions. And the second one we're going to discuss tonight, because life really begins outside of our comfort zone. That's exactly where life begins, to actually feel, to enjoy whatever it is, to be able to go out of our comfort zone. Now, our comfort zone could be our routine, the things that we do every day. And let's take a moment to think, wherever you are, to think of what's your comfort zone. What do I do during the day? Who are the people I speak to? Where are the places I go to? Whether it's at work, who do I feel comfortable talking to and who I try to avoid? And socially, it can be neighbors. If you sit and think about it, eventually you can slowly see the boundaries of where you are. This is basically where I go. This is the grocery. This is, I don't usually go further than that. Those are the people I talk to. Those are the people I call. And that's the things I do. This is what my house looks like. Pretty much you can see where your comfort zone is. Now, in there is very comfortable. Usually not so painful. You're not trying anything new. You know what the feedback you're going to get. So you do it every day and you do it again you get used to it, and you feel good. Sometimes people could feel that there is more to life, something missing. There's something inside of them that they would wish that they can come out, that they can share, that they can do. They would feel so much more alive if they would be able to, whatever it is. But we have a wall around our comfort zone. And basically when we get to that wall, we stop. That's where we stop. We're scared to open the door, to open the window, and to look out, to see new things, to try new things, because it's very uncomfortable. We're not in control. We don't know exactly what feedback we're going to get. So let's say, for example, make a phone call to somebody that you haven't called in a while. Well, the thoughts start coming in. What are they going to think? What are they going to say? I'm not sure if they're going to appreciate it. So rather, leave it. Or you think to yourself, what's something that you would love to do? And the question goes like this: if you wouldn't be scared, if there would be no fear at all, what would be that thing that you would do? Whether it could be it's a phone call, maybe put together a group. It could be a job, maybe go to work, or maybe go to the next step, asking for a raise. All of these new ideas, something that you're not used to. It's not something that you do every day. So if there would be no fear at all, what would you do? Can you picture that for a minute? So basically, there's a wall around it. That's the fear that's holding us back. Now, what's the fear? It could be fear of rejection. What happens if I fail? And logically, even though we know that most people that succeeded in life, it wasn't after the first time they tried. And we know that. But still, it's uncomfortable. We don't want to feel that. So that's another reason why we become aware of the negative emotions, because that could be a barrier to live life. So the first thing, like we discussed, was just to know what's really controlling, what's controlling your life, to see how you feel, and what am I trying to avoid. The second thing is to be able to continue to do something, to go out, do something different. For that, we're learning how to feel uncomfortable. And then we can apply the techniques and all the things that we've learned till now to understand that the feeling is just a feeling. Nothing is going to happen. Nothing happens. It's, sometimes anxiety, and you try it out, see what happens, and then you try it again and again. But obviously, it's not easy, and it's something that you need some strategic steps, some steps to be able to figure out, how am I going to do this? But the first thing is the awareness, to become aware of my comfort zone, become aware of my routine. What do I do every day, and what am I trying to avoid? There's another concept, and there's a book out there also called Go for the No. And that talks about making calls for marketing, for sales, to be able to make sales. And it's hard. Cold calling, you're picking up the phone, you don't know who you're talking to. You're just trying to make conversation with someone you're not sure if they're going to be interested. So it's pretty hard. And you can try it out. I remember the beginning of my journey, I volunteered for an organization to make some phone calls, because usually they say that's like the beginning, if it's public speaking or trying to do something, which it's interesting because nobody knows who you are on the other side of the line. You're making that phone call, you say, hi, I'm calling for an organization, I'm calling for a Hatzalah organization. I see that you gave last year $18. Would you like to double that? What are you scared of? Well, I'm not going to deny there's a lot of fear over there because it's you making that phone call. And if they say no, not interested, you feel that rejection, even though they don't know who you are. So you see how far it goes with the thoughts in our mind and how it controls. But by doing it a few times, you do get used to it and you start feeling a little bit better. You start saying, wow, it's working. I can do it. Obviously, with nice donations, you feel much better and it gives you that push to continue. But even without it, it becomes part of your routine. So what we're looking for is to put new things in our routine. Like we said before, if you wouldn't have any fear, if you would be able to do it and you wouldn't be scared of anything, what would you do? Now let's try to see what are the fear, let's figure out what comes up, write them down, what the fears are, become aware of those fears. And then you can tell yourself, let's try this out. And then you'll try to do it. You'll start hearing your voice, your breath going in and out, becoming heavy, becomes hard, and you push yourself. And eventually you learn how to do something new. I once had somebody come to me talking about jobs. He was on his 4th or 5th job and looking for a job, but he had the fear of something new. I said, let's look back at your experience in the past. What was the experience that you had? So he's worked in 4 or 5 different places. How did it work? So obviously when he walked in, it wasn't easy, but after a while, he figured it out. So I said, you have the key to do whatever you want. And you have the proof. You've done a few things already and you figured it out. So now choose something that you would enjoy. The first day, it'll be hard. First week, you become used to it. And eventually, you can do it. So don't settle. So this is the same thing, the same ideas of becoming comfortable with feeling that uncomfortable feeling. And that's something that's very important. Talking about trying to be positive, trying to see the good side, the half full, which is very important. And in Mitzvah Hashem, we're going to work on that. We've worked on it also to make the positive list. But people don't realize how important it is to sit with that negative, see what's really controlling. What is it that's holding you back? And slowly inch out, see where it goes. And that takes us to that space of that sitting with that feeling. And for everybody, it's different. It could be, I don't know, have a specific name for that feeling. You could call it fear, but I could just call it an icky feeling. It's that feeling that we just don't want to feel. And many people would think, I'd rather not. I hear, Menachem, what you're saying. It makes sense logically, but I'd rather not feel, I don't like it. So let me just stay where I am. And things are okay. Things are good. So in the short term, for now, it's much easier. Stay where you are and don't get your feet wet. Don't try new things because it's not comfortable. But in the long term, there's a saying that the biggest fear is to be able to live with the thought of, I was able to do something and I didn't do it. Looking back and saying, I should have done it. Now that's something that's much worse than the fear that you have now. So we're going to start with baby steps, not jumping into this. Another idea is passive versus active. Many people live their life in a passive state. And like I always like to say, we try to connect it with saying whatever Hashem wants, that's what will happen. So in other words, you're trying to stay where you are, to stay comfortable because it doesn't feel good. So you're saying whatever Hashem wants, that's what's going to happen. So here I am for now. So that's a little bit passive. To become active means, how about you sit into the driver's seat? You sit in, till now, somebody else is sitting over there controlling your life. But is there something that you would like to do? So how about you sit in that driver's seat? And then you start thinking, what do you mean? It's too hard. What do I want? Why would I want it? I don't want to go there. It's too hard. But that's when you can attach with saying, Hashem is going to help me. Start living with being able to say, this is something that I want. It's not easy. And I will try. I will take those baby steps. And Hashem, please guide me, show me the way, and give me what I need to succeed, whether it's the first time, the second time, to continue. So this is the difference between living passive or active. It's much easier to live passive. Whatever Hashem throws into your lap, you take care of. And you're good at it. You're doing great. You're not staying in bed. You're doing what you need to do. Things that come up, you take care of it. And then you continue your regular routine, no change. When things come up, you take care of it. If something falls into your lap, if you work for somebody, the boss comes over to you, please do A, B, and C. No option. So you have to do it. So you do it. Was it easy? No. But you had to do it because somebody else told you to do it. But now let's think for a minute. Forget about your boss. What do you want? What's something that you want? And that opens up the ideas of emotions, our own emotions, of what controls us. And if we can build that muscle of being able to try new things with that fear, learn how to sit with that fear, understand the fear, and say, what can I do? What are the baby steps that I can do to get out there and do it anyways? And obviously to start small. So here are small steps, just a few ideas that you can do to get out there. And again, why are we discussing to start something new? Why can't I just stay where I am? So it's the same concept as somebody would tell me, why become aware of my emotions? Why become aware of my emotions? And for you that are sitting here for many weeks, you probably should know the answer by now. Why should we become aware of those emotions that we don't like? Just continue doing what you're doing every day, and you're doing great, whether it's at work, you're davening, you're learning, taking care of your kids, which is beautiful. So to have a simple answer is because we're looking for something more. We're looking for you. And once we become in touch with you, that those are the emotions, those are the ups and downs that we experience, and then we can start experiencing life. And experiencing is emotions. So that's how we got into this, feeling uncomfortable, being okay with uncomfortable feeling. And now, if that's the case, I can start going out of my boundaries, starting to live a little bit more, expanding a little bit my boundaries, seeing how I feel, being okay with myself, being able to hold my own hands, like we discussed in the past. And we'll discuss it soon. Very important to have a healthy sense of self-esteem, to be okay with yourself, even if you fail. So just a few ideas. Number one, to start something new, you don't have to jump into it. Do some research. Speak to people about it. See what it entails. Don't make it so hard for yourself. You're just starting on the journey of expanding. So learn about it, become familiar, so it's not so much unknown. Because part of the fear is the unknown. I don't know what it's all about. So learn about it, do some research about it, speak to people about it. So that's number one, a good idea, just to make it a little bit easier. And again, it's not going to take away that icky feeling. That feeling that we have, that we're scared, the fear of the unknown, fear of rejection, it's still going to be there, but it'll be a little bit easier. Another good idea is to speak to somebody about it. You mention it to somebody, you say, I want to try this new thing, or maybe I want to put together this group, I want to make this phone call, I want to start a new job, look into something new. Speak to somebody about it. Just by talking about it could make it easier. And the next step is to have an accountability partner, somebody that you feel comfortable with, and say, I'm scared to do it, but I do want to put a date and I want to start that day. And please hold me accountable. And it's not like having somebody on top of your head, you feel like I don't want anybody on top of me telling me what to do. It's you deciding to get somebody, asking somebody, do me a favor. So it's not they're doing it without your permission. You want it, and it makes it easier because I can tell you from my own journey, many things I've wanted to do and some things I'm doing. When you have somebody there or somebody accountable, you just have to push and continue. And then after you do it, you're like, wow, thank you for pushing me. It worked. I'll try it again. Whatever it is, it's not that bad. So to have somebody, a partner that you can choose. And small steps. Remember, every journey, what's the saying? 1,000 miles starts with one step. So you don't have to jump. Take small steps. For example, if you're talking about sales, if you want, you can start with one phone call a day. I know it might sound very little. You can start with 20 if you want, but just to do that uncomfortable act, and you'll see you're okay afterwards. Nothing is going to happen. You make that phone call, and if they say no, you try to detach yourself from that no. It's not you, and you can even add some excitement to that no. Well, like I mentioned before, the book that says go for the no, they say your goal should be 10 no's a day. Instead of most people have, let me get 10 yeses, set 10 phone calls that people are interested, and then they stop. Go for 10 no's. So that, first of all, every no that you get, you'll say, whoa, I'm getting there. I'm getting closer to my goal. So you're excited to get those no's. But more important it is, many of them will say yes. You'll have to continue with those phone calls because your goal is not the yes, your goal is the no. Until you finish all 10 no's, and then you up the goal. But the idea is to detach yourself from the no. It's not you. Again, it's not easy. And yes, there is that icky feeling there. But that's the feeling that we're going to start understanding what the feeling is and being okay with that feeling. Another important thing is to stay positive. After whatever happens, wherever you are on the journey and whatever comes up on your journey, you always need to stay positive, because if at the end of the day, you feel you failed, you feel it's not working, you're not going to want to do it tomorrow. You're not going to want to do it again. And it's an important awareness to be aware before you go to sleep. Before you go to sleep, what mood are you in? Because that usually sums up the day. When everything is quiet, you're done, and no more social media, no more phone calls, you're going to sleep. And slowly these ideas creep in about yourself. What does your day look like? Now, if there's negative feelings, that's a very important awareness, because you probably don't feel good with what happened that day. And let me ask you a question. After how many times are you going to give up? Obviously, if you go to sleep with a negative feeling, it's not working. And then the next day again, it's not working. It's not working. After a while, you're just going to say it's over. It's not working. But you do want to continue, because we know success comes after a few times. So you have to be able to find that success, find that little, I did make that phone call. I did do that act. I did whatever it was. And that's okay. You go to sleep on a positive note. Very important. And one last thing, something that works with the subconscious. Whatever the thing you want to do, whatever exercise, the new thing you want to do, before you do it, you can spend a few nights before you go to sleep sitting and visualizing. Just to visualize yourself doing it. For example, that phone call, visualize getting that phone book, getting the list, picking up the phone, making the phone call. And again, you can see whether it's positive or negative, but let's discuss positive now. It's working. Before you go to sleep, just imagine that and feel, wow, I'm succeeding, it's working. And then you go to sleep. That's the subconscious work. That means when you're sleeping and your subconscious is alert, it takes in the idea that it's working. And you might ask me, but it's not real. So a different time we'll share the research that the subconscious doesn't really work with real or not. All it works is how you feel. How you feel. If you feel it's working, that's exactly how it feels, and that's how it picks up. And do it again the next night, do it for a few nights. And then it becomes easier because your subconscious is not going to be fighting it as much. And this is a secret for anything that you want to do, anything new. To be able to put it in that subconscious, and you'll be surprised how it works. It actually works. And it works more than by saying by day it's working and I'm like positive affirmation, because by day it's more logic. At night it's subconscious. So we're trying to put it in the subconscious world. So that's basically for today. The basic idea of putting together the 2 weeks ago and today is becoming comfortable with the uncomfortable, being okay with that negative feeling. Breathe like the waves, let it come and let it go. And eventually you'll be able to do more in life, live a little bit, expand where you are, your comfort zone, get out there, and you'll feel more alive because you'll be familiar with that feeling that we don't like. You won't be so scared of it. And I just want to end with, these are 5 ideas from, there's a book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyways. And that's what the book talks about. You're going to feel the fear. Just because you feel the fear, it doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. Because the way I go through is through the fear. So here we go. Number 1, the fear will never go away as long as I continue to grow. If you're growing, you're going to feel the fear, because that means you're pushing the boundaries, which is good, and that's what we all want. Number 2, the only way to get rid of the fear of doing something is to go out and do it. Just by talking about it and thinking about it, how's it going to work? I'm not sure, but the fear is not going to go away. You know how the fear is going to go away or get a little bit easier? You'll do it, and then we'll talk about it. Number 3, the only way to feel better about myself is to go out and do it. That's the idea. You want to feel better with yourself. You know there's more to yourself. Go out and do it. Let's see what happens. Number 4 is, not only am I going to experience fear whenever I'm on unfamiliar territory, so is everyone else. It's a little secret. It's not only you. Whatever you're feeling, that's the feeling we get. We all get that feeling. And you see the people succeeding and doing things out there, they have the feeling too. But they're doing it. Number 5, pushing through fear is less frightening than living with the underlying fear that comes from a feeling of helplessness. If you eventually can't do anything out of your comfort zone, you find yourself with a feeling of helplessness. I want to do, but I can't. Why not? I just can't. So you come in that helplessness feeling, which is not a good feeling at all. So we have to choose between feeling that icky feeling and doing things and feeling good about myself and what I'm doing, or feeling that helplessness. I don't know, I can't, it's not for me. So that's it for today. Again, good luck with whatever it is that you want to try, something new. You can always send me an email, tell me how it worked, if it makes it easier for you. And we'll talk about the feelings. That's it. So thank you very much for the recordings of the past 30 weeks. You can get them at menachembernfeld.com on the top left. And any questions, ideas, you can send me an email, coachmenachem@gmail.com. Now we can take some questions in the chats. Any feeling that came up, you can put into the chat, and I will try to clarify if I can. Very good. Somebody mentioned that he's not aware of his feelings, not aware of his feelings. So welcome on this journey, because we all have feelings. We all have feelings. And again, like I always try to mention, not everyone should go into those feelings by themselves. There's a reason why feelings are shut down, and whatever it is that happened in life. And sometimes you do need somebody to do it with, to discuss your feelings. And it could be, it's a coping mechanism. As of now, it's okay if feelings are shut down. There's a reason for it. But we all have feelings, positives and negatives. You just need to tap into them, become aware. And these Wednesday nights will open up some ideas. How long to sit with the negative emotions? That's a good question. You shouldn't sit with it too long. We're becoming aware of it. Spend, in the beginning, it could be a minute or two just to breathe and say, I don't like the way it feels. I just don't like it. And just sit there. And after that, get up. What we're used to doing is being, just, trying to stay busy with our phone, our routine, so we don't experience those feelings. But try to stop for a minute or two. Just sit with it and breathe. And then go on in life. Don't sit there for too long, and slowly you get used to it and understand that that's not who you are. It's okay to feel. Feelings, again, can be coming from any age, right? You want to know if feeling comes from childhood or from older. It comes from really any age, but especially those who are not aware of their feelings, usually it's when they're very young, and it's a decision subconsciously that they made when they're very young not to be in touch with their feeling. It could be, it doesn't have to be, again, like, it doesn't be any major trauma, something that's called complex trauma. A lot of people, they don't want that to, they want to do good for their children. The child is little, and when things happen, they're always there to help the child. We don't realize, again, it's the way we grew up, many of us, to be able to sit with that feeling when something happens. If we don't go right away to the solution. I'm saying we go straight to the solution. We're very solution oriented. The example that I gave was, if a child gets a cut and is bleeding, so he cries and it hurts and he's scared of blood. So don't go to the Band-Aid right away. Oi, what happened? Let me see. It's like, and you can hear in the child's voice, yeah, like that. He just feels somebody is there with them. But if you go straight, why are you crying? Take a Band-Aid. What's the message we pick up? Subconsciously, eventually they learn emotions are not accepted. Eventually they learn no emotions. Do what you got to do. Something comes up, you don't like it, take care of it. So eventually we close down the emotions. And here we are opening a little bit of a can of worms because we're becoming aware of emotions. And inside that amygdala, the part of the brain that is in charge of the emotions, there's the positive and the negative. So we're going to become aware of those negative feelings. So say hello to those negative feelings, embrace them, not for too long, if it's too hard, and eventually we'll learn that it's okay. And then you can feel the positives, you can let it in and out, the energy. You don't have to suppress. And you start living, feeling more alive, more excited, being excited to go to sleep because tomorrow is another day. I know not everybody feels that way, but it's something that you can get to. Looking forward for another day. Not only when you wake up, you have to go to sleep because tomorrow is another day and you're looking forward. Thank you very much for being here tonight, and we will continue next week. You can send me anything that comes up. positive or negative, and I'll let you know. We'll talk about it next week in Mitzvah Hashem. Thank you. Have a good night and a good week.